tired of doing it, so I'm going to do it. So get used to hearing more of my voice.
Not really. He's
just a selfish jerk.
I am just trying to take it over. Remember how I was like such a punk about the summer, and I like hated the summer, and I was like, worst summer ever. Summer, you suck.
This is one of the best
Septembers.
Best Septembers.
Oh my gosh! Like, I have rarely had like a month of where 4 straight movies have come out that I've just been like,
say it. It's
amazing. Like, which is the best? I'm having such a hard time. Like,
is it the best movie of the year?
No. I still have such a connection to Moneyball, you know? And Moneyball, like, made me watch baseball again. Like, I like, went back to it and I was, like, watching it again. And Moneyball really made me think about the business of baseball and the business of capitalism. And Moneyball I saw again in the theater. But we're not talking Moneyball. 50-50 is a beautiful, beautiful comedy. It's really funny, and it does something that is nearly impossibly hard to do, which is it takes comedy seriously. So we're talking about, it's a serious comedy. This is a lot about death, how you deal with death, how you deal with cancer, and what that does to friendships and families. And it manages to find the comic in them, which is just that there's comedy just in life. I was listening to an interview with a guy named Ken Loach, who's a famous director. Pretty Barry director. We do one of his films sometime. And he was just talking about how his films are frequently depressing, but also comedic. And he says that's because life is funny. Yeah. You know, even in a moment where you're, you know, at the very edge of your seat and you're about, you know, you're worrying about like cancer, it's funny to think about where Seth Rogen's like body trimmer has been. You know? And like they can make that joke.
Funny or disturbing.
Or disturbing, you know? Or there can be like a ridiculous chance where he's trying to get laid by some young girls, and then it turns out to be this really heartfelt moment where you realize this is still a man who's in a lot of pain. Yeah. You know?
Who's struggling to be just a young guy. And can't do that, and somehow makes that both funny and heart-wrenching, and yeah. So I've been struggling with what to say about this movie because I don't want to say it's the best movie of the year.
Right, because you've already said that about Drive.
So what I'm going to say is it's the best movie I've seen in years. I love this movie so. I was begging Natasha to go see it again because I love this movie. I think this is the best movie I've seen since Eternal Sunshine.
Wow.
This movie has such heart. And the characters are like wonderful, except for Bryce Dallas Howard, but that's okay.
But Bryce Dallas Howard is like maybe the only actress that I'm okay with her being a bitch.
And it's amazing. Like there are many times in this movie where I was fighting back tears and laughing at the same time, and it's just It's just
how'd you feel about it?
Beautiful.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was the most emotionally affecting movie I've seen this year.
Yeah, no, I could agree with that. Yeah,
I remember getting out of the movie last night, and I didn't want to leave the parking lot because I was still thinking about it.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting there, and I sat in the parking lot for about 5 minutes, and I was listening to Rage, and I'm like, this song's not appropriate right now. But I'm too lazy to change it. But I just remember it was just like I don't know. I just was sitting there thinking about like everything that happened in that movie, all the relationships. Like when he said to the therapist, "Is like I never told a girl I loved her. I never went to Canada. I don't know why that was such a a big thing. But
it's just something he hasn't done. Yeah,
no, it's just like listening to his bucket list, and it was just, I don't know, it just made me think about a little bit of what was going on with my life, and I don't know, it was just overwhelming at that point.
The friendship between Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like the way that worked was so, like I was never. There's that moment where he tells Seth Rogen, you're just using me to get laid, basically.
Right.
But then later on, you see that he's like reading this book on like how to help how to deal with friends who have cancer. And
not just reading it, making notes.
Yeah.
So like
when I first saw that aspect of the relationship felt a little forced to me. But at the next scene when Seth Rogen is dropping him off for his surgery, and he's basically just sitting in the car like cussing out life. He's like, my friend could die, and I might get in there too late to see him before he goes into his surgery, and then I might never see my friend again. Mm-hmm. And he's like actually emotionally affected. When they first show that he's reading the book, because of how much of an asshole he'd been. Sorry. For the first half of the movie, it felt forced to me. But then they tied it in together, and it like literally that was what came into my mind. It's like, okay, that doesn't make sense. He's a jerk about this.
Right? He doesn't seem to know how to be a good friend.
Yeah. But he's trying. Like that's the moment where you realize, this is a person that doesn't know how to not be selfish.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But he's trying. He's making an effort, and that's why.
The question I wanted to get to was this movie does a good job of balancing the serious and the comedic. Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's able to do that, and how do you do that in films? Like, why is this movie able to do it?
The cast is a large part. Everybody in this movie
requires a lot of acting.
Yeah, everybody in this movie is amazing in their roles. I don't think we've talked enough about Anna Kendrick because her role in this was. She portrayed
complex.
Yeah, extremely complex.
Yeah.
She portrayed confidence and self-doubt at the same time. And, after seeing her in this...
She understands what she's doing is unethical.
Yeah, exactly. And she portrays that without ever saying it.
But at the same time...
Well, she did say it when they were in the car.
It's like, this is completely and totally wrong.
But she continues on with it, and you still see that doubt along with the, there's that moment where... he says, they were on the phone. I can't remember what the exact conversation is, but she tells him that's inappropriate, but then she's smiling.
That's when he says, I wish you had been my girlfriend.
I wish and she's like, she shuts him down, but she's smiling while she's doing it. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
But I think
it doesn't. I think you're right, but there has to be something more than just. I mean, the cast is required a lot, but there has to be something more than making comedy serious and making it successful than just the cast.
I think the fact that this is based on real life probably helps a lot. Steve was telling me. I'll let Steve tell it because he was the one that heard the interview.
Well, yeah, this is Seth Rogen. His friend actually had cancer, and so this is almost like nonfiction.
Yeah,
it's a fictional.
Obviously, it's But this is actually what, and there's moments where you can tell like this isn't a glamorized version of this. There's a realism to this that I don't think would have been there if one thing that Seth Rogen was on Daily Show and he kept talking about how he wrote this script with the guy that had gotten cancer.
Yeah,
and he kept the guy that actually went through this kept telling him, no, you were way more of a dick than this. You got to make yourself more of a dick. And so Seth Rogen was like, I really had to like look at myself and how much of a jerk I was being at the time.
Yeah.
And so you kind of get the feeling that his character is using Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen probably went through the same thing. Yeah. So like having that sort of insight helps a lot. Be able to laugh at, I was a jerk back then.
50-50 or The Godfather.
Oh God! Do you remember you talked about Murderer's Row like Aladdin and Toy Story? Like, no. This is The Godfather. This is like,
yes.
It's
now if this were up to the what would I rather watch test, Godfather would fail. I'd rather watch 50-50. The Godfather is the greatest script ever made. Yeah, it's an amazing script.
Yeah. That feels
so this is sort of like one of those moments where I have to reel back and like, 50-50 is better. But no, it's not. I gotta I just need space to realize that it's not.
All right, speaking of...
Remember we just talked about?
Perfect
Amazing World.
Yeah. Speaking of Citizen Kane...
This is dude. This is the kryptonite. This is the issue. Like we remember.
Okay, so
Man,
I haven't seen Citizen Kane.
a while ago we got into quite a debate with Tom over the.
actually, I
issue
think
of
it was like
Citizen
our
Kane.
first podcast
It was
when
our
we
first
got
podcast.
into that.
Yeah, Black Hawk Down came up against Citizen Kane,
Mm-hmm.
and we were sitting there, and I was like, and it blew me away as well. And I was like, I'm gonna go Black Hawk Down. I think it's better.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more watchable.
Yeah.
It might not have a more important place in film history.
Mm-hmm.
Citizen Kane is undeniably probably the most important film ever made.
Mhm.
It changed cinematography, it changed script writing, it changed acting, it changed directing. It's boring. it can't be.
You can't say Black Hawk Down is boring.
No.
That's like one of the reasons I have yet to watch it.
Yeah.
Is because I feel like it's going to be a drag out movie that I don't really want to spend the time.
It's
to
not.
watch.
It's not so much that. I think it's just. Here's what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It pioneered so many things
Mhm,
and did so many ingenious new things, and it really did some amazing stuff
It did.
that's commonplace now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because
so
it still holds up. When
it
you
still
look
holds
at
up,
it, you're
yes.
like, what's the big idea with a tracking shot?
yeah,
Comes up, and goes down. It's like, no one had ever thought that you could actually move a camera,
yeah,
And
and it's incredible,
Mhm.
but it's commonplace now. So you're like, wow, that's really important, but I'm used to it. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have the impact that it
Mhm.
once did.
Mhm.
Right.
And so if you're talking about its place in film history, it's the most important movie probably ever made.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about what's interesting to watch with a contemporary mindset, I'm going 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to, because it speaks to me more than Citizen Kane does.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it. I feel horrible. I feel like, but I have to.
I gotta go. If anyone who's actually a respected film critic ever watched this, we're gonna get ripped
I know.
to
No,
shreds.
Tom is. We're gonna get angry emails from Tom.
Yeah, but I have to go 50-50 as well.
Yeah.
A watch test, I like it better. Which am I gonna watch more? 50-50. And I don't have a high opinion of Citizen Kane. I didn't
Mhm.
particularly like it.
Right.
It didn't strike me as a film that I liked. I really, really appreciated it.
Mhm.
And which is odd
There's a
for someone who
difference.
likes
There's a difference between
meditative
appreciating.
films.
I appreciate
Avatar.
Jackson Pollock.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate what he did. Would I rather look at a Jackson Pollock painting, or would I rather look at
Anything else?
Anything else?
Yeah.
I mean, Van Gogh or something that's a little more interesting.
Right.
There's so much going on in a Pollock painting.
There is. But that's the other
I
thing.
make out with every therapist I run into.
Even the men.
Yeah.
Physical therapist.
So you want to make my knee work again, do you?
It's a computer.
I'm pretty sure this is getting cut.
Loading.